Hey, this is Renaud Angeran from Sophist. So, you're looking for a new supplier. Are you going to work with them for years if everything goes well? Maybe you need to develop a new product with them. Maybe you count on them for making the same parts for a long time, for years and years. Who knows what your situation is. In any case, one really important criterion is, will they improve over time? Or will they be stuck? Or maybe even will performance drop over time, right? So this is what I want to go over in this video. There are two really important things to look at from my experience. Each of them is sort of a muscle that the company would have developed over time or not. So let's get right into it. So I like to draw it this way in a 2x2 matrix. And again, each one is sort of a muscle, okay, that the organization can develop over time. They will usually not develop it very fast. If they don't already have it, don't count on it for the short or medium term. The first one is management systems. Second one is engineering capability, especially process engineering. Okay, so let's look at them one by one. First, management system. Okay, what does it mean for a factory to have a real management system? When I say that, I mean that when top management decides, okay, this project is really important, and it could be going for a new kind of products, developing a new process. It could be really raising quality, maybe getting the proportion of defects from 1% to 500 ppm. It could be anything like that. Okay, when they say there's a project, that's nice, but a project doesn't just get decided by top management. There has to be a certain number of things that happen in the organization, and usually that's what we call management. It's really having a strong management system makes it possible. It enables it. So typically what would happen, there would be a lot of planning at the beginning. So what would happen, in what sequence, what would be needed, do we have the resources, and so on. There would be a prioritization, because if we already have two really important projects going on, it's not going to happen in the next 6 months. It's better to just delay this project, work on it maybe next year. Assigning the resources, maybe it's part of the budgeting process, maybe it's not part of it. Anyway, it's usually related. Who's the leader? Who will drive this? How to keep evaluating the progress, and what, like, is there any formal structures? Maybe some kind of steering committee that will review progress at what planned interval. It's really important. Maybe once a month, and maybe do some readjustments. And the most important is top management attention. This is extremely important all along. Now, what do we see typically in most Chinese factories? And really, this is something that plagues most of them, really 95% plus. The boss does not give the attention, forget it. He might get really excited for a few days and then he goes into something else. And anyway, he doesn't really spend much time working on the operations of the business. He's mostly working on other things around the business. Better deals when buying components and developing some relationships that might turn into customers, and on and on and on. But it means it's whatever happens internally to the business is really not given much attention. The managers don't really have the proper training, the proper past exposure to these kinds of systems, so they don't really even have an idea about how to set this up together, and they're always sucked in short-term urgencies, firefighting, because there's always issues in the typical Chinese factories, right? Like every day there's at least one issue that takes a lot of their attention. All right, let's look at the second one, engineering capability. And I'm talking primarily process engineering. If they have some product engineering capabilities, so engineers who work a lot on new product development, they can also be used. Typically, typically this is really more about process engineering, the people working on a day-to-day basis in production or on production improvement, maybe efficiency projects, quality improvement projects, and so on. And typically in Chinese factories, this is also very weak. All right, so what does it mean typically? Are they able to improve process controls? Okay, so this is a really important concept. Let's say, for example, they do plastic injection molding. Do they even control humidity and temperature? Do they even try at least to record it and do something, maybe some adjustments based on that? Do they really check regularly the cycle time, the temperature, are the gauges really working properly, maybe double checking up on them and these kind of things, or not? And more often than not, it's not the case. Maintenance, if they use a lot of equipment and tools, then maintenance is really, really important, because if they work until it breaks, well, not only is it expensive for them and it really shortens the life of the equipment, but also, unfortunately, the equipment before it breaks for a while might produce parts out of tolerance, might delay the whole thing. Okay, there's all kinds of other issues. The layout of the lines is very important, has a strong effect on not only efficiency but also quality. All the tooling, very important. Improvement of current tooling, maybe setting up new fixtures, new dies, maybe for assembly, for things to be easier, and on and on and on and on. Okay, maybe for immature processes that are really complicated, design of experiments. This is something I pretty much never saw in Chinese-owned factories, but they sometimes have some very immature processes that still churn out maybe 20% of defective goods at the end. So it's important for them to try to understand why. Okay, these are some examples, and very often what we see is that they don't really do any of that. Okay, so number one, management systems. Number two, engineering capability. If they are here, it's both of them are really bad, really low, very weak muscles. Don't expect anything. Even if you push them very hard, you might not see anything. If they have relatively high engineering capability, but management systems are still relatively weak, okay, if you push them and if you actually have people on site to keep pushing them, things might happen. Okay, you might still have to do the pushing because their system will not do the pushing, but at least their engineering, which is not bad, will make it possible to actually drive the changes. They might come up with solutions, put them in place, and things like that. The more simple, the fastest in place, the more you can count on it. Okay, if it's a long-term initiative, it might really not happen. Now, the other situation is they have relatively high, good management systems. That muscle is relatively strong, but engineering is really weak. So you might need to send your own engineers or work with a company like ours to go there, put the finger on the real issues, and show them the way forward, and really support them, give them some guidance. But at least, okay, and this is a situation that we really don't see very often. Okay, and similarly to this, maybe you are the number one customer, and even though they don't have any system, the boss is thinking of this every day and is pushing every day. Okay, so you don't really need to rely on a system. This might actually work well. All right, now the best case is this, and I really don't see this very often, and if that's the case, typically you wouldn't really have to push them very much. You would actually just sit back and watch for their improvements, and they would report to you, and all would be great, right? But that's not what our clients see very often. Okay, I hope that was useful. That maybe opened your eyes on something you were not checking before. Let us know if you have any questions or if you need any help on all of this. Thanks.